You're watching Sky Movies.
This weekend,
Command.
Rude Hullett has scored for Chelsea!
creative,
Stylish.
industrious,
Di Matteo!
Crafty.
striking,
Oh, the Italian star!
Blue.
daunting.
Red and white.
Sunderland v Chelsea.
Just part of the lineup this weekend on Sky Sports. Football. This is Sky Movies.
We hand over now to Richard Jobson for our weekly roundup of the biggest new movies at the cinema, The Movie Show.
Tonight on The Movie Show, we make first contact with the Star Trek crew to talk about their latest adventure.
You're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
And Disney lets its live-action 101 Dalmatians off the leash. Hello and welcome to The Movie Show. Never having been a fan of the Star Trek series, I've always approached the films with dread rather than excitement. Up to now, the films have left me confused and no closer to understanding what all the fuss is about. However, 1994's Generations pointed a new way forward by passing the torch to the cast of The Next Generation. Subsequently, First Contact, the eighth and most successful big-screen Trek, is the first without the likes of Kirk and Spock on the bridge. The result is not only a great Star Trek film, but also a science fiction classic in its own right. The film pits Captain Jean-Luc Picard and his Enterprise crew against the Borg, alien villains with whom long-term fans of the series will already be familiar. One Enterprise team heads to Earth to foil a Borg attempt to alter the future by manipulating the past, while back on the ship, Picard must fend off an invasion led by the Borg Queen.
We are not going to lose the Enterprise. Not to the Borg, not while I'm in command.
Actor Jonathan Frakes, who plays Commander Riker, makes his feature debut as director of First Contact. The film is quite an achievement. A fast-paced affair loaded with action, menace and humour. It's helped by the actors, who are all by now thoroughly comfortable with their characters and do much to turn this into a superior sci-fi adventure. There's always been something faintly old-fashioned about Star Trek, but First Contact, with its cutting-edge effects and darker tone, feels very much like 21st century entertainment.
The fleet's responded, sir. They're standing by.
Fire.
We wanted to have a film that someone could walk in off the street to see, who knew nothing about Gene Roddenberry or the Prime Directive or the Federation of Planets, and enjoy it just for what it was.
The objective was, when we made this, was to make a wonderful movie that just happened to be a Star Trek movie.
Something about Star Trek movie seems to be an animal all of its own, and this, I think, actually transcended that a bit.
The stories were wonderful, the arcs of the characters were wonderful, the way the stories dovetailed at the end and the denouement. It has some humor peppered through the film, which I think is essential, and it has what the fans and others have come to expect, which is fast-paced action, incredible special effects, and more so now than ever before.
Data, report.
We appear to be caught in a temporal wake.
Captain. Earth. Life signs?
Population approximately 9 billion. All Borg.
How?
They must have done it in the past. They went back and assimilated Earth, changed history.
Sir, the vortex is collapsing.
Hold your course, Mr. Hawk. I must follow them back. Repair whatever damage they've done. I had felt very soon after we finished Star Trek Generations, the original movie that also had Bill Shatner in it, that we had been much too low-keyed with Picard. I mean, I spent a lot of that movie being kind of mildly depressed, which is no way for your leader, your action hero figure to behave. And I wanted to engage him much more in the very heart of the action of this movie. I wanted to put him back in the trenches, in other words. Commander Worf, I need to know exactly what's been happening.
We just lost contact with Deck 16. Communications, internal sensors, everything. I was about to send a security team to investigate.
No. Seal off Deck 16. Post security teams at every access point.
Aye, sir.
Mr. Hawk, before we lost internal sensors, what were the exact environmental conditions in main engineering?
Atmospheric pressure was 2 kilopascals above normal, 92% humidity, 39.1 degrees Celsius.
39.1 degrees Celsius. Like a Borg ship. They knew their ship was doomed. Our shields were down. Somehow they transported over here without being detected. They'll assimilate the Enterprise, and then Earth. We start out with a big advantage because we've been playing these roles for almost 10 years. We're all very secure in them, and the characters already have substance. They step onto the screen, bringing all of that substance with them.
Star Trek is really about the characters first and about the family first, and that it just happens to take place in a spaceship or in the 24th century. I mean, that was always Roddenberry's idea, and I think to Berman's credit, he's carried on that same gestalt, that it is the characters, it is the relationships that are primary, and where it takes place just happens to be in this wonderful, visually exciting environment.
Speaking about my own character, I think there's been an evolution since day one, and that was the intention from day one. My original conversations with Gene Roddenberry about the character were about the fact that this character should continue to evolve, and finally at the end of the day he would be as close to being human as possible, and still not.
Captain, I believe I am feeling anxiety. It is an intriguing sensation. The most distracting.
I'm sure it's a fascinating experience, but perhaps you should deactivate your emotion chip for now.
Good idea, sir. Done.
Data, there are times that I envy you. There was a lot of attention being paid to how the Next Generation cast would succeed on its own, because very appropriately the last movie was a transitional movie, and I was one of those who argued passionately to include Captain Kirk, and sadly we didn't have the entire previous cast in it. I think it's fundamentally because we have some good actors and we have some interesting characters, but we set out to make the best possible movie that we could. I think that's one of the reasons that it seems to be succeeding as well as it is.
What is it you want me to do?
Simple. Conduct your warp flight tomorrow morning, just as you planned.
Why tomorrow morning?
Because at 11 o'clock, an alien ship will begin passing through this solar system.
Alien, you mean extraterrestrials? More bad guys?
Good guys. They're on a survey mission. They have no interest in Earth. Too primitive.
Oh.
We sort of go back to post-Holocaust, 21st century, and encourage our reluctant hero, Zefram Cochrane, to, in fact, achieve his destiny. And his destiny ends up providing what is the birth of Star Trek, this first contact with an alien race.
Doctor, tomorrow morning when they detect the warp signature from your ship and realize that humans have discovered how to travel faster than light, they decide to alter their course. They make first contact with Earth, right here.
Here?
Actually, over there. It is one of the pivotal moments in human history, Doctor. You get to make first contact with an alien race, and after you do, everything begins to change.
Star Trek, any science fiction really, has the advantage of being able to comment on our time from a futuristic point of view, so that it's not so in-your-face, obvious. To me, this is a very political picture, actually. I mean, I don't know if it is to the majority of the audience. I don't really care, but from my point of view, the Borg represent that in society which represses individualism.
They are the ideal villain because they are implacably bad. They have no redeeming features whatsoever, and they cannot be reasoned with.
Your efforts to break the encryption codes will not be successful, nor will your attempts to assimilate me into your collective.
Brave words. I've heard them before. From thousands of species across thousands of worlds since long before you were created. But now, they are all Borg.
I am unlike any life form you have encountered before. The codes stored in my neural net cannot be forcibly removed.
You are an imperfect being, created by an imperfect being. Finding your weakness is only a matter of time.
It's been a wonderful role to play because how many people get to play a role that comments on as many aspects of the human experience as possible? You know, I've gotten sort of examine the human experience through this character in many different ways, and this is just taking it yet another leap.
Are you familiar with physical forms of pleasure?
If you are referring to sexuality, I am fully functional, programmed in multiple techniques.
How long has it been since you've used them?
8 years, 7 months, 16 days, 4 minutes, 22.
Far too long.
There's also a mental seduction going on, and the subtlety in it is to figure out who's seducing whom exactly, and I don't think you really know that till the end of the picture.
I understand that you have no real interest in me, that your goal is to obtain the encryption codes for the Enterprise computer.
That is one of our goals. One of many. But in order to reach it, I'm willing to help you reach yours.
Well, I know that I'm very proud, obviously, of what we've achieved, and I think, frankly, that the film has done better than anyone dared hope. It is the 8th in a series which historically should not have been as successful as this.
When they ask, why do you think Star Trek has existed for 30 years in America, the general answer is because it projects a positive view of the future. I'm not sure I don't see it. I don't understand that. We're still at war with people. We're still firing phasers and torpedoes and blowing people up and, fighting battles and all of that.
Perhaps today is a good day to die.
But I think it's more about that it depicts a future and a future history.
We wouldn't be interested in a lot of goody-goodies who were never engaged in any kind of conflict. And the fact that the galaxy would appear to be endless, it does mean that for Star Trek, there will always be another enemy, there will always be another threat, another form of opposition, because it's that simple fact which has meant that the series could continue as it has for just now 30 years.
We must activate the auto-destruct sequence.
You want to destroy the ship, by the way.
Coward. If you were any other man, I would kill you where you stand.
Watch your futures end.
They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here.
Star Trek First Contact opens here this week. It's time for us to take a break now, but join us again in the second half when we'll be looking at 101 Dalmatians. See you in a moment.
It's time to lay down the law.
Calls for backup.
RoboCop 3, part of Sky's top 20 films at 10:30 tonight on Sky Movies.
You're watching Sky Movies.
Welcome back. 35 years after the release of the original animated classic, Disney brings to life Pongo and Perdy, Roger and Anita, and Cruella de Vil in a new version of 101 Dalmatians. Sticking to the basic structure of Dodie Smith's book, the film was shot in and around London and seems well positioned to exploit the post-Babe craze for lovable animals and barnyard action. The plot should be familiar to adults and children alike. Computer game designer Roger and fashion designer Anita, played by Jeff Daniels and Jolie Richardson, are brought together by their respective Dalmatians, Pongo and Purdy. Human and canine marriages quickly follow, with them coming domestic bliss and 15 puppies. However, this idyllic setup is shattered by Anita's boss, Cruella de Vil, played by Glenn Close, a fashion diva who, with the help of two bumbling henchmen, is dog-napping Dalmatian pups for her own nefarious ends.
Anita, darling. Good morning, Cruella. What a charming dog. Thank you. Spots.
Yes, she's Dalmatian.
Inspirational.
Yes.
Long hair or short?
Short.
Coarse or fine?
I'm afraid it is a little coarse. But it was very fine when she was a puppy.
Redemption. I need to have a little girl. Come to my office. Bring the drawer.
Close is 101 Dalmatians' one surefire ace. Her grandiose theatrical performance as the villainous de Vil is one to relish, and certainly makes up for the overall blandness of the film's human element. Looking fantastic in a series of outrageous outfits, Close should certainly help attract an adult audience to what is otherwise strictly kids stuff.
I'll pay you twice what they're worth. Come now. I'm being more than generous. £500. £7,500. £2 per spot.
Cruella, what would you do with 15 puppies?
Yeah, it's irrelevant. It is. You can't have any because they're not for sale.
I'm getting very tired of you, Roland.
Roger.
Whatever.
Cruella has really no redeeming human qualities. In the book, she's the devil. She's actually the devil. And I believe this is a fairy tale, and that the evil people in a fairy tale should be very evil, should be very defined, and children should know that her behavior is bad.
Keep the little beasts. Do what you like with them. Drown them for all I care. You're a fool, Anita. I know you for fools. You're fired. You're finished. You'll never work in fashion again. I'm through with all of you. I'll just even. Just wait. You'll be sorry. You fools!
I wanted her to be a very well-defined but stylish villain, and I always thought her sense of humor, as wicked as it is, was also very important.
Disney's Dalmatians have been beautifully realised, and it's clear that a lot of time, care and money has gone into remaking this classic for the 90s. However, it's unlikely to have the enduring appeal of the animated version. The fun fades fast in the film's second half, and there's no doubt that the makers have missed a trick in not giving the animals the voices they had in the original. Following the success of Babe, these mute mutts feel like a step backwards. We found out more about the challenges of making the film from director Stephen Herrick and actress Jolie Richardson.
The biggest challenge out of it all, really, was the puppies. I mean, when you think about 101 Dalmatians, you think about Dalmatians. And in the cartoon, of course, you got animators' pens, and they talk, and they speak in human voices, and so forth and so on. And that was the biggest challenge, is taking that now, and now getting that kind of emotion, what are the animals doing, what are they saying to each other, and so forth. Now, of course, we could have gone the Babe route and done that with their mouths and so forth and so on, but then it would have been even more like the cartoon again. It's like almost recreating it. So I wanted to take it and have them speak in their own tongues, and so that would hopefully give it a little bit more of a real spin to it. That if you're a kid who's 7 or 8 years old, it's like, ooh, maybe my dog, goes through those kind of things as well, and maybe my dog can save, this, save the world or whatever.
There is always a danger when you refocus a project and make real characters out of cartoon characters. In the fact that if you're the writer or you're the actor, you want to have a bit more fun with it, and you could be thinking about pitching it at adults rather than children. Did you think that's a danger? Is that something you were aware of? And
When I came to the project, I sort of saw it that I was going to do a complete impersonation of the cartoon and do that funny sort of, 60s style. Well, it wasn't 60s, that was more like 40s and 50s style talking, like sort of brief encounter, that kind of thing. So I had this, character all lined up and was all excited and isn't this funny? And like my first day of work, Stephen Herrick was, what are you doing? Stop. And he said, forget all of that. I want you to do it completely for real, and the script isn't really written like that, it's half American and all of that. So, but anyway, he said just do it as naturalistically as possible.
Everybody had a good laugh.
Let go of that dog!
Stay out of it, lady.
Stop it, or I'll hit you.
Today is not a good day to threaten me, ma'am.
I don't care if it's a good day or a bad day. I'll hit you nonetheless.
Whatever.
Okay, I give you a good proper warning.
Look, I've had...
Now, release my dog or I'll hit you again.
Your dog?
Yes, that is my dog. Will you let her go?
Excuse me. He's a she.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Pongo.
Everyone, even my age group, was sort of like, oh God, I can't wait to see that. And I think that the Disney cartoons are so famous and they're so much a part of all of us growing up that people still want to be part of that.
Two-tone? I know. You all like to do. Wizard.
There was a romanticism, I know, in London, not only just in 101 Dalmatians, but like Mary Poppins, a number of the Disney, movies. When you think about Disney, or at least in America, I think when you think about London, you think about those, you have that as a visual reference. And I wanted to continue to, I guess, sprinkle a little bit of that Tinkerbell dust, on London, because it's a very romantic city, and I fell in love with it when I, came here. And although it was a lot bigger than I expected it, because I had the impression of it being like Mary Poppins, So I was like, well, oh my, but I did want to bring that to the screen, and hopefully we succeeded in doing that.
Sadly, that's all we have time for this week. On the next edition of the movie show, we'll be talking to Sylvester Stallone about showing courage underground in daylight.
You can see next week's edition of The Movie Show right after our Thursday night premiere, Mixed Nuts. And don't miss our Star Trek double bill this weekend.
Matilda, and we'll be finding out how Madonna fared in Evita.
I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance.
We'll see you then. Goodbye.
Watching Sky Movies.
You can't ask me to pretend that I don't know what you do.
From the creator of The X-Files.
The killer doesn't see the world like everyone else. How does he see it? Differently.
Comes a series more intriguing.
He's got more bodies.
Tell me how you know.
More terrifying.
I see what the killers see.
Than anything ever seen. Prepare to be chilled.
This is prophecy!
Millennium. Coming soon. This is Sky Movies.
Sci-fi action now as that ultra-sophisticated cyborg returns to fight a battle against corruption. It's another of Sky's top movies of the year, RoboCop 3.